I know you'll be there and I'll be there.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
No, not yet. Before Mrs. Ross presents her final Guilford Middle School Principal's Report, we need to take just a minute to recognize her at her final school board meeting as principal of Guilford Middle School. So I won't be long with this, and I know you don't want a very long presentation, but Marcia has been a New Hampshire educator her whole career, serving in Guilford on 2 separate occasions, as well as other communities in the state, as a teacher, coach, and administrator. I have said on a number of occasions how grateful I was to come to Guilford with Marcia as our principal of Guilford Middle School and to learn so quickly about the respect she has in this community and the impact that she has had on so many of our students here this evening and thousands of others that have passed through our halls. So we had kidded a little bit about her last principal's report, so I'll let you go ahead and do it, but on behalf of the school board and the Guilford community, we'll at least have a little bit of brightness to show you reading. So.
I chose well. 40 years, not too much to worry about, so it's been my pleasure, I'll say that, to be here at Guilford for the last 5 years, certainly after some wonderful opportunities elsewhere, but I'm not sorry to give my last board report, I will tell you. I'm happy to announce that 8th grader Kaya Galand and 7th grader Matthew McDonough were recognized last Thursday evening at the 15th Annual Scholar Leader Dinner in Manchester, New Hampshire, along with middle school scholars and leaders from schools all over the state. There were 80 young middle school students who were recognized along with their families, which is really a wonderful thing to see parents be so proud to be out with their children. There were people from Colebrook, there were people from Salem, you name it, the entire state was represented. It was a wonderful evening, and Kaya and Matt certainly were great choices to represent Guilford Middle School. As the superintendent mentioned, the iRobot assembly was well received by students, and we appreciate Vlad Vaschek's efforts to make that happen, along with the support of the UA team. We are continuing our transition process for the end of the year. An important part of the transition at this time is the 4th grade transition to middle school, which includes both students and their families. A very positive opportunity for families and children to come to the middle school for a variety of events, learn about the middle school, and also prepare for that transition for their children. To date, 45 students have registered for what is now our fifth annual GMS Summer Math Academy, which is open to all students in grades 4 through 8. It's a wonderful opportunity for our students to continue to either grow their skills, to advance their skills in mathematics, and so we're continuing along with that program. In the professional development area, we have a number of summer curriculum projects that are being put together at this point, and also we have some exciting math professional days which are going to be organized for both middle school math teachers and elementary school teachers under the direction of Lori Hamp, our math coordinator, and also Betty Erickson, who is a well-known math consultant. That's really important work as we in the district and in the individual schools go to grow instruction in math and also student competency. As Danielle showed with the elementary school, we also have completed all NEWA testing for middle school students, which is pretty interesting to do, to have all of our students complete that testing. We are going to use a similar model and put that data together so that it can be shared with the board and the public, and we can look at those proficiencies and what the growth is in that resulting over the course of the year. So you can look forward to seeing that. I guess I should not talk forever at my last board presentation, so I think that covers most of the things. We do have an important drama event coming up from our Performing Arts Department on Friday and Saturday. We'd invite everybody in the audience. to come to the middle school cafeteria on either night, 7 o'clock, for middle school pops and a brief rendition of Charlie Brown. So it'll be adorable, filled with middle school kids. So, thank you.
Questions?
So Marcia, you're talking about the GMS Summer Math Academy, and you've got 70% in grades 4 or 5. Now, does that mean that's 70% of the 45 students? And does that mean 70% of the 45 students are going from 4th to 5th grade and 5th to 6th? Or I was a little confused what that meant.
These are the statistics coming to us. I'm trying to find my place here on the page. You'll have to excuse me.
Third paragraph.
Thank you. Approximately 70% are registered in the grade 4-5 range right now. We're not done registering, but that was the update, and that update data comes, remember, probably 3 or 4 days prior to my writing this, which was submitted last Thursday.
And when you say grade 4 or 5, does that mean incoming 5th graders?
Yes,
And
current 5th graders.
and current, in what will be 6th graders next year?
Correct.
And then 6, 8 are
Correct.
next year's 7th graders, next year's 8th graders.
And we do have, as I had told you recently, I believe, we do have 8th graders, both 8th graders going to high school and also going elsewhere, who have participated, as some kids have participated pretty consistently every year since we've opened that opportunity to them. So this data now is probably not as accurate at all, since it's getting close to
Anyone else? Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to come to public comment, and given that,
Can I make a comment first? Before we go to public comment? Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, reference to what happened during public comment last meeting. I want to make sure that everybody in the room understands that nobody's right to free speech was impinged upon last month. The right to free speech is not absolute. There are restrictions to free speech. You are not allowed to disrupt a court in session. If you do, the judge will find you in contempt of court and can throw you in jail. You are not allowed to disrupt or state your mind in a session of the legislature. If you violate that, the Sergeant of Arms will be asked to escort you outside. This meeting, as is clearly stated in the agenda and is stated by the chair of the school board prior to public comment, this is a working meeting of the school board. We invite the public to observe us, to observe the meeting, and we also take public comment. But that is what it is limited to. We listen to what the public has to say. It is not an open forum for argument, for question and answer, or anything like that. Those are the rules. If you violate the rules, you'll be asked to leave. If you don't leave when you are asked to leave nicely, you can be arrested. That is actually an excellent example of civics. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be.
wow.
I just want to make that clear.
Okay, I'm going to ask, given the number of people here this evening, a show of hands as to how many individuals are planning on speaking. Could you please raise your hand? So we only have one individual that's going to speak this evening? 2?
You just spoke, weren't you?
3? Anyone else? 4? And I need to make sure you're all Guilford residents. Are all 4 of you Guilford residents?
No.
I know you are, Steve. And you are? Okay, so this is an opportunity for public comment. We ask you state your name and your address. The agenda item is intended to give citizens, and this would be Guilford citizens, a voice so that the Guilford School District has an opportunity to hear your comments directly. This time is not intended for question and answers. Questions about specific programs or practices, we ask that you direct it to the respective building administrator during school hours. With that, I'm going to open it up for public comment.
My name, excuse me, my name is Skip Murphy, 9 Guilford Glen Road. And I have to thank Kurt Weber for giving me the perfect opening because before coming here, it was rather vague. That, you folks displayed such a wonderful object lesson in civics. And especially now, from a seat of authority, pointing the bony finger at a father who only and merely wanted to get some kind of respect for his views, and you totally ignored him. I will tell you that in your process of trying to ignore the public, because some of you may not even wish to be listening to me, you've made yourselves the object of ridicule in the blogosphere and internet. Millions of people have watched those videos, and what they saw was another civics lesson. A board of elected officials who have decided that they were not going to be accountable in public to the people that pay the taxes for this school system. Elected officials are supposed to be accountable, and not just in private office meetings. But this should be the forum, and I know and speak from experience on the Guilford Budget Committee, we always took comment, and when asked questions, we tried to respond as much as possible. Your silence spoke far more than what your words ever could have. And frankly, I find it rather amusing that you would now point to that father and try to make an object lesson of him. You know, I've listened to you folks for 8 to 12 years, and what happened last month, even though I could not be here, I was not surprised at all. Because the lesson was not that Billy Bear was arrested simply for trying to get answers from an elected board of representatives, but that board remained silent and refused to engage because he felt that the morality that he was trying to bring his kids up was one that was important to him, but not important to you. I've seen the meme over and over again, both here in New Hampshire and across the nation, that it seems that local boards, teachers, staff, folks as yourself, seem to have a rather condescending attitude towards parents. That while on one hand you say, we need engaged parents, but then when they become engaged but have an opposite point of view, we must deal with those people appropriately. I've heard it, I've blogged it, I have the video of it. And I have to say thank you very much for once again showing that attitude to the extreme. You've become a laughingstock. Thank you.
Anyone else? Joe?
Joe Wernick, Gary Circle in Guilford. I want to commend the board and Kent for nominating and for the Daniels for the Champions for Children, because the Guilford Youth Center, along with Scott, along with our library, which were both donations to the town, have been incredible assets to not only the town but the school district. What wasn't mentioned earlier were the schools, indoor track team, field hockey, volleyball, Parks and Rec uses it. It's just incredible the amount of support that the kids can get now after schools between the library and going to the youth center. And as a resident of this town for 26 years, it happens not like you would know, and having kids in the district for 20 years, I can say I am very pleased. I know 4 years ago I was at odds with the district and violating the 2-minute rule and but I felt strongly about my issues that I had. But I feel that the district has done an incredible job. I have a daughter that just graduated college, one that's graduating high school, a son that's going into the high school. And this is a good example. All the students that you see in here tonight are honor roll students. They're in athletics, they're in drama, they're in student council, they're in the honor society. They'll be presenting tomorrow night over at the Meeting House, which I highly encourage people to go to, because that is a great example of what this district represents. And I was very impressed with all the comments and letters I've received in the paper from students and parents of students from Guilford. And that is my biggest concern. I want to know what the parents of students in Guilford feel. And I think that the majority of them feel that you are doing a good job. And I want to commend you for that, because I know my students have done well, my kids have done well, and other students like these kids here tonight are going to continue to do well. And I thank you, Marcia, for your efforts at the middle school, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak? Skip, I'll let you have one more turn.
I want to address something else that I forgot earlier about what Kurt said, that he wanted to go past the agrarian model of public education. I agree with that. I also want to see the school systems go past the progressive factory model of education as well, which is one thing that we see here. I would want to challenge this board to open themselves up to the meme that no longer says every child deserves a public education, but rather every child deserves a publicly funded education, where a government school like this, a public school, is only one choice that a parent can make for their own child. That in addition, they could also choose a charter school. They could also go to a private school. They could also go to an online school, and they could be homeschooled. But yet the tax money that the parents are paying to educate their children would follow the child and not follow a building or a zip code. And I really think that that's the model that you folks should be following and enter into that competitive arena. Because right now you're so isolated, we see things that don't go right. And while Joe Wernick had a couple of examples, I'll close with one from my own family. My youngest was a first grade student here. He was special ed. At the end of the first grade, I was told he will never be able to read by his first grade teacher. We immediately yanked him out and brought him to a private school. There, the teacher that was going to be his for the second and third grade took him under her wing because she had the ability to do so and the willingness to do so. And by the end of the third grade, he was reading at a fifth grade level. If he had stayed here in Guilford, he would have never, ever been able to read like that. He would have instead been socially passed along from grade to grade and become a failure. So again, I'm going to ask you again, it isn't the teachers or the staff or the board that should be in charge of the kids' education. It should be the parents, because they may not have the educational background, but they have the love and interest of that child to know what is best for that child, and not the attitude of an educational industrial complex, which it has become, because we spend more on education than almost anything else in this country. And we have the results to show for it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else with public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment for this portion. There is one later in the meeting.
Crop TV.